get started in just a second, but quickly I'm going to pull a card. I'm pulling from the Sacred Rebels deck. Does anyone have this deck? Or has anyone heard of this deck? I love it. The first cacao ceremony I went to with this incredible indigenous healer, she had this deck at the end of the ceremony, and it was like, it delivered the medicine that I needed in that moment. And I'd never heard of this deck, and I had never really bought an Oracle deck before. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and find that deck. And the next day I was in Santa Monica, which I don't really go to because I live on the east side of LA. And I was walking around in between appointments, in between meetings. And I walked past this bookstore and I was like, oh, cool. I can stop. I'm like, I have unlimited budget for books all the time. So I'll go buy a book. And I walked in, it was actually a mystical bookstore, and they had one of these decks left on their shelves. Everything else was empty. And I was like, well, okay. Message delivered. So it's, I find it to be usually a really astute deck, and it's really beautiful. But I'll pull a card really fast for some wisdom for all of us. And then we'll go ahead and get into conversation. Okay, I'm trying to admit everyone. All right, so this card is in the world, not of the world. The number is 34. It looks like this. And I'll go ahead and read, sorry, I know my hologram makes it difficult to see, but I'll read just a little bit of the medicine, and I'll also send it out to everyone too in the replay of this class. And if you're into numerology, the number is 34. Okay. Ooh. It is safe for you to become naked with life. This doesn't necessarily mean stripping off and running wild in public. It does mean stripping back your beliefs, your strongholds, and mental or emotional security blankets so that you can live with less obstruction than ever before. Imagine the conditioning that has kept life away from you, just kept it dropping out of your hands like keys or coins or clocks. If anyone has ever had a hard time holding on to money, like money goes through your fingertips, you're really good at earning money, but it just like goes right through. This is for you. Conditioned beliefs about money, time, security, having, locking away, holding, and controlling can be surrendered and allowed to fall away. What would it be like if you feel as though you're on a holiday every day? Perhaps there would be a softening in your way of life, an implicit trust in its flow, and a faith in the ability of time to bend and stretch as needed so that all may be accomplished. It is at an advanced stage of our spiritual relationship with life that we are able to feel held within it and sufficiently enough to surrender our defenses layer by layer to nakedly accept what is. Did that resonate with anyone else? Wow, a bit rude to be dragged in the first 2 minutes of a call, but okay, I'll take it. I love this deck so much. I don't use it as often as I should. Sometimes I'm like, oh, Oracle cards are like, you know, I don't know, stupid, not stupid, but do you know what I mean? Where you're like, oh, they're so frou-frou sometimes. And then they drag you just like the tarot does. Okay, so welcome to class. I'm so happy that you're here. We're just still letting some people in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to get started. So I'm recording this. Oh, let me really quickly add captions and let me pin myself. All right, cool. So welcome to class. We're going to talk about conscious copywriting and spellcasting and how they're like the same things. But before we get started, I would love to know who you are. So if you could pop into the chat and tell me your name, your pronouns, and where you're tuning in from in the world, and also maybe what called you into this class today. This is our third of 4 classes on recession-proof skills. And while I clearly have a slideshow and a curriculum, I want to make sure that I deliver what you need. So let me know, what are you hoping to get out of our time together? We have an hour to talk about spellcasting and copywriting and all that good stuff. So pop into the chat and let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, and why you're here. Hi, Elle. You look like the hot lady ghost in the, oh my gosh, Bailey, that is I always want to be compared to a ghost. I tell my husband often that if I die before him, I'm going to haunt his ass. So I can't wait to be a ghost personally. Okay. The name of the deck. Okay. Few landing right on time. Amanda NPC. Hi. Oh, suck at social media captions and copy. Hi, Jessica and Austin. Hi, Mackenzie, writing brand new copy for my desk. Hi, Tiana. North Noters, Christine. Oh, thanks, Christine. Andrea. I want to be here to find more ease in creation. Cool. Hey, Jenny Min. Hi, Caitlin. Hypnotherapist and copywriter. So I couldn't believe when I saw. Okay, amazing. You know the power of words and subconscious copywriting. Hi, Dagny, working on website and business. Okay, cool. Hi, Jose. Oh, never thought of combining copywriting and mysticism. Well, you're in the right place. You've done everything that you don't think that you could apply mysticism to. We apply it. Trust me, taxes. Yeah, there's a spell for that for sure. Great. I'm seeing lots of business owners who are wanting to figure out the copy on their own businesses, which I so strongly recommend. I don't think that you should often outsource to another copywriter if you're trying to start your own thing, but lots of people do. So one of the reasons that we started Recession Proof Skills last year, we ran 4 classes on recession proof skills last year, right at the beginning of the pandemic, because I wanted to talk about the things that you can always call on as skills, no matter what is going on in the world. People always need more of. People always need really, really good marketers. People always need amazing copywriters. And people also always need to understand how to grow community. So no matter what, those skills are going to be a hot commodity. Even when no one's hiring, they're still going to need someone, or like to do maybe all 3 of those things, or to do at least do one of those things. So I wanted to teach you, if you're an intuitive business owner, how to do that stuff for yourself, because wow, will it save you so much time and energy if you understand how to do it on your own. But even if you don't exactly know what it is that you want to do with your own business, give you some skills and tools to play with on your own. Maybe experiment with as a consultant or an independent contractor helping other people. And then when you're ready to take your big, beautiful idea out into the world, you can. And you'll have some practice figuring out how to copyright and grow community and run an intuitive business. So I'm so happy that you're all here. Hi, Mia. Hi, Elise. I see lots of North Noders in here. We're going to get into it. So today's class and contents. I'm just going to shrink myself all the way. I'm going to talk about a couple of key things. First, how this is the ultimate recession-proof skill, in my opinion. We're going to talk about how really the most magical things happen in the mundanity of life, and copywriting and spellcasting are 2 of those things. We're going to talk about cause and effect, how both copywriting and magic have repercussions, and we need to be really aware of those and ethical about them. We'll also talk about the 5 steps of copy spells or copywriting spells, bibbidi bobbidi boop. And we'll also talk about PCCL, the Profitable Content Creator Lab, which is a course that we run at Holisticism that opens up on April 19th. So there's lots of ways to continue down this conversation. And like I said, I wish that I could give you all the information about copywriting in 1 hour, but it's a lot more complicated than that. So I'm going to try and simplify it as much as I can and give you some general frameworks that you can use so that when you walk away from this class, you will have a clearer intention and more powerful copy than you did before. And there's a lot more to double click on here. So if you like this and you're interested in it, we can definitely go deeper. All right. Yes, the deck was Sacred Rebels. Thank you, Chelsea. Okay. So my intention is to teach you how to make content that's fun and magical and profitable and generative and aligned and organic. And I think that the majority of that happens with the copy that we create and the words that we use. I think that content creation is a form of magic. And we are like taking something that's an idea and we're bringing it into the world. And that is incredible. And I'm very, very excited to dive deeper with you today. I'm Michelle. I don't know if everyone knows me. I think we have 500 people signed up for this class. And a lot of you maybe have never met me or Holisticism. Welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm the head witch in charge. We also have a member of our team, Wallace, who's here inside of the class if you have any questions. I'm a Pisces sun, Cancer rising, Scorpio moon, so I cry a lot and I have a lot of feelings. I'm also an INFJ and I'm an Enneagram 4 with the 5 wing, which means I have to be special. But really, I'm actually quite introverted and I get really nervous talking in front of groups of people, which is why I always pull a card before class because my armpits are sweating so much. But I'm so happy to be here because I love teaching, although I do get a little bit of anxiety talking in front of people. I'm also an Italian witch. You can tell by my arm hair that my Italian roots go deep. And I love talking about witchcraft and mysticism and magic. I've got a little candle spell burning right now for all of us to find some clarity in this class. I don't know if you can see it, little charm candle. And magic is infused into every single thing that I do and everything we do at Holisticism, for better or for worse. I think for better. And that's what I teach. I'm also a 4/6 emotional projector, which means that I spent the first half of my life or the first 30 years really fucking up and trying lots of things and making lots of mistakes so that in my 30s, I could teach people easier, simpler ways to do the things that they wanted to do based on what I learned and what I sort of painfully went through myself. And I'm a copywriter. So I helped businesses. I worked in tech for 6 or 7 years before I started Holisticism. And I've been making content for brands for the last decade. A lot of my work was copywriting along with other brand work and other content creation because they often go hand in hand, especially at startups. And I've worked for some brands that you might be familiar with and also some brands that I couldn't tell you about because of NDAs, but it's been a very interesting experience. And, copywriting was the way that I was able to pay and bootstrap for Holisticism. So I started my company by myself. I didn't have investors. And the way that I was able to afford that was by taking on clients who paid me to write copy for them. So this is honestly why I think copywriting is such an incredible skill to have in your back pocket because someone always needs a good copywriter. I'll tell you that. And copy isn't just something that lives on your website or on a sales page. It's in every single story that you tell. That's really what copywriting is. It's storytelling, it's connecting, it's empathy, it's intuition. It's being able to tap into the other person on the other side, somewhere in the universe, who's going to be reading what you're writing or listening to what you're saying, and being able to relate to them and emote and put yourself in their shoes. To me, that's the ultimate form of empathy. And if you're already a highly sensitive person or an empath or an intuitive, I would venture to say that you're probably a really gifted copywriter. You might just not know it yet. And of course, copywriting is in also every email that we send and every Instagram caption and every sales page that we publish. It goes in every podcast we create and every YouTube video that we put up, whether we're sort of cognizant of it or not. And copy can be something that's such a simple fix that can exponentially increase our reach and our growth and our ability to connect with people. And it's so small sometimes how it's such a small tweak that we can make that makes such a big impact. And the reason that I love copywriting is because it's magic. I say this a lot to my students in the North Node, but there's a reason that they call it spelling, right? We are literally casting spells with our words all day long, whether we like it or not. We just had a really awesome podcast guest on the 12th House podcast, Michael Cardenas from Old Ways. And we were talking about how everything that we put out into the digital ether is a spell. It has magic to it. And we're not often conscious or intentional about what we're putting out into the world. In order to argue, we're not often conscious or intentional with the words that we use. So many of us are so nervous to do copywriting that we just throw something up on our website and then we forget about it, or we dig our heads in the sand and we're like, I don't need to think about that anymore. When in reality, we are making something real. We are turning things into reality. When we use words, we are creating a new reality, right? There's an idea that if we don't have language to describe something, technically it's not real. We can't make it real. If we don't have language to describe what we want our future to look like, how can we picture our future? So words are really, really powerful, and not just when we're spell casting or we're future casting for ourselves, but also how we connect with our people. Think about the pronouns that we use. How we call people by their names. All of these things matter. So I'd love to ask, that was a little heavy and intense. My Scorpio moon's showing, but I'd love to ask you, what's a spell? Let me know in the comments. What's a spell to you? What's the definition of a spell? Intention. Mm-hmm. Give me more. What's a spell? There's no wrong answer. There's not going to be a quiz. Okay. Filled intention, influence. Yeah. Okay. Desired outcome, naming something into reality, invoking magic. Mm-hmm. I am the spell. Yes. A spell is an intention, affirmation, speaking or manifesting something into existence. Beautiful. Yes. All correct. Ooh, Rita, manipulating your environment. I like that. I like that a lot. Manipulation gets a bad rap, but we are all constantly manipulating all the time. That's great. Yeah. A spell is a magical formula intended to trigger a desired outcome. You could even take out magical and say it's a formula intended to trigger a desired outcome. The important thing is that there's a desired outcome. It's clear, right? And that we're taking some action to get there. All right. So now that you passed the test on what the spell, what's a sigil? Maybe a little bit more of a vocab word. Anybody know what a sigil is? Pop it into the chat. Let me know. What's a sigil? Ariel's like, I don't know. You're the teacher. A symbol, a visual spell, visual representation. Yes. A secret symbol. Yes. A new word to learn. A coded symbol, a symbol with intention. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All of the above. Nice, you guys. Yes. A sigil is a symbol that you create with the intention of changing your reality and fulfilling your desires. A sigil is a visual spell. So can we maybe think of some examples of visual spells? What could a visual spell be? Logos. Yes, logos. Movies. Nation state flags. Yes. Show choreography. Yes. Infographics. Yes. What about style? What about the way a visual spell, when you walk into a room, how a room makes you feel a different way? Fashion magic. Yes. Tattoos. Yes. Infographics. Beautiful. Yeah. I mean, all of these are sigils, right? Like we have a clear, I'm in front of the Glossier sigil, but we have a clear feeling that's evoked when with these images, right? They mean something to us. So we're going to talk about spells and sigils, and spells and sigils come up in copywriting all the time, you know, in our branding all the time. And we can make every single image that we have can be a spell. Every single image we have can be a sigil. Same thing with the words that we use. So before we get into the actual copywriting, since we're talking about magical stuff, let's talk about some ethics that we need to know or have, or at least be an awareness of. We don't necessarily have to agree with them, but some like generally good ethics to go by when we're talking about magic, intuition, or psychic ability, right? If you are a practitioner, generally the rule is to tell the truth. Generally, if you're intuiting information as a psychic or a reader, you got to tell what you see. It's not your job to decide what someone's supposed to know or is not supposed to know. We have to empower, not enable people. People get to choose their own destiny. What we tell them is not set in stone. And our goal is not to scare people into change or get people reliant on us for information. Our goal as teachers and intuitives and psychics and witches, whatever you want to call yourself, healers, practitioners, is to put the power back into the hands of the person who's coming and asking us questions and remind them that they have all the answers within themselves. We want to choose love over fear. Again, we're not going to scare people into making or fearmonger people into making decisions. We're not here to power trip. Your client is not less psychic or less powerful than you. Your true power lies in your authenticity and your perspective, your unique perspective. And at the end of the day, you can have as many tools as you want, but you have to trust what you know. So it's great. I love to use a tarot card deck. I love to use the Akashic Records. I love to use a tuning fork. I love to use a candle spell as much as the next person. But at the end of the day, I am, as Bronnie said, I am the spell. I am the magic. I am the channel. And I can do all this work and get all this information by myself. My tools can make it easier for me. And that's what copywriting is. It's a tool that can make it easier for you to cast a spell, right? To set a clear intention and to communicate what you need to communicate out into the world. And the same ethics that we have for practicing magic, I think are the same set of ethics that we should apply to copywriting, to sales, to being in business. So copywriting and magic, what do they have in common? Well, first, copywriting and magic have repercussions when used to control other people. Has anyone ever seen like really shitty copy that is just like, evil or feels really evil or I don't know what I'm seeing here. Someone just dropped something in, but I don't know if it's in the link. Okay, so can you give me an example of like really bad copy that made you just cringe, that felt controlling or icky or gross? I hate when people say, this is a limited time offer that you're never going to get to have access to again. Like this will completely disappear, when actually it's like a webinar that they're running on repeat all the time. Like, you're lying. You can't just like lie to people. Stop. Oh, change your life with. Yes. Yeah, I will not ever open a subject line where it says time is running out. Yes, scarcity as a selling tactic is not good. Yeah, using guilt or fat shaming. Oh my gosh, absolutely not. All weight loss copy ever. Oh, no worries, Amanda. Yeah, I also don't like it when people call me like boss babe, or like, hey girl. I hate that. Don't call me that. It's not gonna work. I'm not your babe. So copywriting and magic both have, like, there is a repercussion that happens, right? We don't just like make magic in some sort of silo and there aren't effects outside of us. There are effects outside of us. That's why when we use magic, we have to be really intentional and thoughtful, because there might be repercussions outside of what we intend, right? Our impact might be outside of our intent. And same thing with copywriting. You have to have really clear intentions, because you never know what your impact is going to be. It could be really, like, you could change someone's life for the better or for worse with the copy that you create. That's a really powerful place to be in. It's a lot of responsibility. My job as a copywriter and as someone who makes a product or offers a service, and my philosophy personally, is to empower people to clearly understand themselves and the situation in front of them so that they can make the best choice for themselves. My job is not to like blindly sell shit to people personally. Like, that's not my philosophy. You will meet lots of people who that is their philosophy as copywriters, and that is not mine. So I just wanted to like give you that heads up, because that's how I teach copywriting. If that doesn't vibe with you, that's totally okay. If it does vibe with you, awesome, great. We're gonna get along for the next hour. And I do not use fear, scarcity, lies, or convincing people in my copywriting. That's just my personal perspective at this point in my life after doing 10 years of copywriting. That doesn't work for me. And it also doesn't work on me. And I don't want to perpetuate that. I do not need to convince you of my value when I understand that I'm invaluable and the service I offer is invaluable. So I don't need to convince you that you need to buy this thing. All I need to do is be honest about what it is that I offer and how I could potentially help you, and then let you make that decision for yourself, if it's right for you or if it's not. My job is not to convince you that I'm lovable or worthy or valuable. I already know that about myself. So I feel like that. In general, I think that we are often trying to like convince and sell ourselves to people and convince people of how important we are. And we shouldn't do that anywhere in our lives. You can sell a lot of shit without like begging people to buy your shit. In fact, I find that it works the opposite most of the time. The more desperate you are, the less copywriting works. So let's talk about the 5 steps to magical copywriting. The very first one is having a clear intention. It's a spell, right? And the first step to writing a spell is having a really clear intention. A spell and a sigil usually have one clear single intention. We talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about community. We don't typically like cast a spell hoping for 15 different outcomes, right? We go one step at a time, or we hold one vision in our minds. Same thing when we're copywriting. We want to have one single clear thing, one call to action, one step that we want people to take, or decision that we want them to make. We don't want them to make 30 decisions or 5 decisions or even 2 decisions. We want to have one clear intention. This is where I see most people go wrong. They're trying to jump around from a bunch of different ideas or perspectives, and instead of just giving a clear directive. People buy what they understand. And when we have a million things that we're trying to offer somebody, they don't understand what it is that we're trying to provide them. Also, people typically understand things in like less than 3 seconds on the internet. So you want to be really, really, really clear with the words that you use. You do not have to be extra fancy or snarky or funny in order to make people understand what it is that you do. So what's your intention? What do you want people to do with the copy that you're putting in front of them? Do you want them to reply to an email? Do you want them to sign up for your email list? Do you want them to buy a product or follow you on Instagram or book your service or leave a comment? What is it that you want them to, what do you want them to do? So that's the first step. People buy what they understand. So get really clear on your intention. I would love to know in the chat, excuse me, in your mind right now, if you're thinking about your sales page or any place where your copy lives, are you clear with one singular intention? And can you actually, I'll do you one better. Can you pop it into the chat? Do you know what that clear intention is that you want people to do? And if you say, well, I want them to buy my course, and I also want them to sign up for a one-on-one service, and I also want them to join my email newsletter, my guy, that's 3 things. So let's pick one. What's the one thing that you want people to do? Book my service. Yes. Book a reading. Yes. Email newsletter. Yes. Good. What else? What else? Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Sign up for my course. I want people to purchase my product. Book my service. Yeah. Sign up to my newsletter. Amazing. Sign up for my course. Beautiful. Great. So you might be like, but I have a lot of different offerings. I have a lot of things that I want people to buy. And this is when we want to zoom out a little bit. We can talk about this at some other point, or maybe in the questions at the end of class. But this is why it's really helpful to understand what the life cycle of your user is and how all of your products and services and offerings fit together. So maybe Mia said she wants people to join her email newsletter. I know that she understands that the newsletter is the very beginning, right? It's where people enter. And after they get on her newsletter, they get a nurture sequence that tells them all about what Mia does. And in that nurture sequence is when she says, hey, by the way, do you want to book a session with me? And then once people book a session with her, then maybe the next option is, oh, do you want to take a course with me? Do you want to sign up for a membership? Whatever it might be. But she's going step by step by step. She's not trying to offer them 4 things at once. She's going like intuitively with the progression of her client. And that's something that we kind of get lost in sometimes as business owners. We want everyone to buy everything immediately. And that's just not how we work. Second step is having empathy and using intuition. It's a no-brainer, but I think when we get into copywriting mode, we get into like business robot mode, and that's like couldn't be farther from the truth. You actually like need to become even more human when you're writing copy, even more of the person that you already are. So first things first, have empathy. Who are you talking to? Who's your ideal client? Like, who are they? Actually create them in your mind. And a lot of the time when we're doing ideal client work, people say, oh yeah, I want you to put down their weight and their height and where they live and what car they drive and their eye color and where do they shop at the mall. And like, okay, that's all cool. And I think it can be helpful, but it often misses the point because I don't give a shit like how tall they are or how they wear their hair, but I want to understand what's underneath that and what motivates them. So what does their car say about them? What does their hair say about them and how they wear their hair? What does their favorite mall store say about them? Maybe what my hair says about me is that I'm really low maintenance, so I never blow dry my hair, and I haven't dyed it in forever because I'm so focused on other things that like my hair and sometimes my personal appearance are the last things to get taken that my attention goes to. And what does that say about me? Well, I'm really driven, and not necessarily maybe driven by how I look on the outside, but there are other things that are more valuable to me, like the people that I spend my time with. And that would be really important for you to know if I'm your ideal client, right? It doesn't matter that I have brown hair that I air dry. What matters is why. Make sense? So after that, we want to picture this person that we're writing about, right? We want to talk to them. We want to give them a name. We want to give them an archetype. We want to like, if you want to, you can be like, they're an Aries sun, Pisces moon, Scorpio rising. They're super fucking intense and they're probably going to ruin your life, but in a good way, you know? That helps us understand this person, right? And this is like sympathetic magic. Does anyone practice sympathetic magic, candle magic, or has anyone ever created a doll or a puppet? That's sympathetic magic, or even little spell, like a little spell kit. Anybody? Layla says yes. Okay, great. That's what sympathetic magic is. It's finding something that's similar and applying magic to it. So sympathetic magic could even be like candle magic, right? Because I'm using a color to reference to what the outcome is that I want, using a purple candle because I want us to find wisdom together and be connected to source together. And so this is a form of sympathetic magic. So if I create an ideal client, I'm an avatar for them, or archetype for them, and I'm talking to that person, I'm thinking about them, I'm creating for them a form of sympathetic magic. I draw pictures of the person. Yes, Jess, that's amazing. I wish mine would just be like a stick figure with a little hair. But if I had artistic talent, I wish I could draw a picture of them. And we also I think that you can never go too deep on who your ideal client is. And we have a lot of questions in PCCL where we go through basically 40 questions on who your ideal client is and what's underneath for them beyond the car that they drive, or when they went to high school, or if they like Taylor Swift or not. Because the more we understand the person on the other side, the more we know how to relate to them. I even picture in my mind, I know our ideal client at Holisticism, her name is Stephanie. She's actually someone I used to work with. And every time I'm having having a challenge writing, I just imagine what it would be like to sit down at the table and talk to Stephanie and explain this product or service or email to her. And it is so much easier to do that work, to do that writing when I think about her. The next step is looking at the problem in 3 dimensions. So we've talked about the ideal client. Now let's talk about what you're actually here to do, which is solving a problem for them. So we want to identify the problem that you're trying to solve for your ideal client on 3 different planes, or the problem that's affecting or impacting your ideal client. And that is the reason that they want to work with you or convert to whatever it is that you're trying to get them to convert to, whether that's an email list or a service or a product or something else. So the first plane, the first problem we want to identify for them is the real life problem. This is the material or the physical problem. So maybe their problem is, I don't know how to make money from my work. That's my problem. This is the most obvious problem. If you ask them what their problem is, this is what they would tell you. Hashtag I have a problem, okay? Second, we want to identify the subconscious problem, the mental problem. So what's underneath that they maybe kind of know if they did a little bit of self-work or they did some shadow work, they'd be able to find it. Or maybe they're actually not that aware of it, that's okay. It's still underneath there. So maybe the actual problem that they need to solve on this level is, I don't want to make money because I actually think money's bad. Or I associate wealth with people who are selfish. But my problem is I don't know how to make money from my work. My maybe subconscious problem is I'm afraid to make money. That is the problem underneath the problem. And then our third level is the existential problem. So what's underneath all of that? If we were to go even deeper, that your ideal client might not be in awareness of at all, they probably haven't even thought about, and they might not necessarily make the connection to with their top level real life problem. So their existential or their spiritual problem is, in this example, well, what if I'm worthless? And I'll just never make money because I'm actually worthless and I'm not valuable, and no one's ever going to find me valuable or lovable or worthwhile. The existential problem is the problem that you need to understand as a copywriter. It doesn't always feel as dire, right? Our product might not feel like it equates to that dire existential problem, but it does. Because whether our client knows it or not, that existential problem is informing their decision-making. So our copy also has to answer to and inform those 3 problems, or address those 3 problems. When you cast a spell, you must get to the root of those problems. You can answer the top level problem if you want, but that's not really going to do much. The problem's going to still keep coming up from the surface, right? If you just clip off the leaves, that doesn't do that much to get the weed out of the soil, right? We have to go all the way to the root. We have to go all the way down to the next level. Okay. So after we've figured out who our ideal client is, then we can go deeper on the 3 levels of problems that they have, or the three levels of the single problem that we're trying to solve for them. And then we want to hold a vision for their outcome. That's all that spellcasting is, right? Did anyone else love that So Raven growing up, or baby witches out there? So we want to hold the vision for the outcome and the transformation that's on the other side of what we offer our ideal clients, of what our product or our service does, right? This is where magic really happens. This is when we're coaching the conversion and the evolution of our user. We are changing their lives by showing them that actually this outcome that you maybe didn't believe was real or you didn't think was possible is quite possible for you. And here's why. And by the way, here's what's going to look like. Here's how it's going to feel. Here's how it's going to change you. And here are the steps that you need to take to get there. My goal is from when my user starts at the beginning of my copy, they're going to be a different person when they get to the very end of my copy, because I've been able to show them the future or future vision that we can create together. Or I empower them through my copy to understand that the limiting beliefs that they might have around themselves are not true. And regardless of whether they end up buying my product or service, those limiting beliefs are still not real, and they don't need to listen to them anymore. So when I'm writing my copy out, what I want to do is reflect back to them a couple of things. First, I want to reflect back to them who they are. We call this a head nod moment. I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger because I'm going to be emphatic. So a head nod moment. This is when you're reading copy or you're reading an email and you're like, oh yeah, that's totally me. Has anyone ever had that before where you're like, I'm not this type of person, and then someone's like read you for filth on a sales page and you're like, God damn it, shit, I guess this does apply to me. That's called a head nod moment. And that's really important because we don't want people who aren't right for our product or service to buy our product or service. We just don't. Like, it might sound like an okay idea at first, but trust me, it never goes the right way, because they're not going to be happy and you're not going to be happy if they're not happy, because they're not going to get the results that they need if they're not like in line with basically who your ideal client is. So we want people to say, yes, this is for me. Or maybe, no, actually, this isn't for me. So I don't need to read the rest of this super long sales page. I don't need to read the rest of this email. That's fine. No hard feelings. Because the best thing that we can do as copywriters or people who are selling a thing to another person is help people get off the fence, so that they're not like in the purgatory of trying to decide whether something is right for them or not. So we've talked in the past couple of weeks about helping people prioritize decision-making, helping them understand whether this is a decision that they want to make or that isn't important to them. And that's all we really can do as copywriters. We don't want to convince people to say yes to us. We just want to get people to make a decision for themselves. Whether that decision is yes or no is really none of your business. But everything that we're doing is pointing them to decide, is this for me or is this not for me? So a head nod moment is a really important first step in saying, oh, well, this is made for someone exactly like me. Or, oh, this is not at all for someone like me. Let's take PCCL, Profitable Content Creator Lab. It's made for people who want to make content and get paid for the content that they make, whether they're running their own businesses or they're people who want to be contractors who help other businesses make money using content. Well, if you're a service provider and all you want to do is sell services and you don't want to make content, guess what? PCCL isn't right for you. I'd rather you know that right from the jump than get all the way through my sales page and then be like, I don't know if this is for me or not. The next thing that we want to do is reflect back to them who they aren't. So say, this is not who you are. You're not the type of person that would lie to your clients. You're not the type of person that gives up easily. You're not the type of person who is going to underdeliver and overpromise. This is who you are. I'm reflecting back to you. Yes, you're in the right spot. We have the same values. Next, I want to reflect what the dreams are that they hold that are possible. So what is their dream? What actually could exist in the future for them that maybe they've been ignoring or they've been scared or afraid to sort of grasp onto? Then I want to reflect to them what beliefs they hold that are actually limiting, that they might not even realize are limiting beliefs. Maybe you have a belief that in order to make more money, you have to work a lot harder and you have to work longer hours. And maybe I need to tell you that that's actually not true. That's one pathway, but it's not the only pathway. Next, we want to really reflect back that their feelings and their disillusionment around the industry or around solutions that didn't work for them in the past are legitimate, you know, because one of the worst things that we can do is make people feel stupid and assume that we're more powerful than them. And that's why when we go back to our ethics page, we were talking about how you don't hold all the power as the practitioner. You are equals to your client. Same thing with your reader. Your reader is not stupid. Your client's potential future client is not stupid. So don't treat them like they're stupid. Acknowledge that they've tried things in the past that didn't work. Here's why they didn't work. Explain it to them and explain why this solution might be different. The next thing that we want to do, and we want to reflect back to them, is what their future could be like if their dreams came true. And we can cut through that disillusionment that they have. This is like a cord cutting, because we need to hold space for people's excitement. And has anyone ever cast a spell before? Just drop an emoji into the chat so I know if you've cast a spell. Let me know. Yes. Okay. Many. Yeah. Okay, great. So have you ever cast a spell when you summoned up all of your energy and you basically had to like put yourself in the position of how it would feel when you got what you wanted? And that is what powers your spell, right? Versus when you just write something on a piece of paper and you stick it under a candle and you're like, all right, I'll just let that thing go. It doesn't work, right? When we don't like pull our energy and our vision in. Same thing here. We want to take, if we're creating a spell with someone, if we're co-creating a spell, we want to pull that energy and excitement in and help them hold that future vision so that thing can come true. And then finally, we want to have the feeling, the excitement, their energy, their hope for a better future, because that's really where the power is, right? Letitia, unknowingly all the time. So let's keep going. Our last and fifth and final step to magical copywriting is lighting a fucking candle. Light it up. If you don't write the email, write the sales page, publish the newsletter, put up the Instagram, blah, blah. If you don't do it, then your copy is not going to work, right? Or if you hide behind, I don't know, fear or procrastination, then the spell isn't going to work. If you don't light the candle for the candle spell, the ritual isn't complete. Same thing with our copy. We can spend all the time and energy perfecting it, but until it's out into the world, actually seen by people, it's not complete. Two things help a lot when it comes to getting your copy out into the world: writing your spells, and then making sure people see those spells. So if you really want your magic to be like expansive and explosive, that's what you need to think about. Put it somewhere and send it out. So I'm glad that you guys are digging the gifts in today's class. We have to like keep this shit light. You know what I mean? I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Let it burn, Usher voice. Stop it. Okay. I'm feeling so called out right now. Oh, I love you. I'm calling you out of love, Al. So I want to answer some questions really fast, or not really fast. I want to have plenty of time for questions, but we've talked a lot in this class about, from a high level perspective, copywriting. And like I've mentioned more than once, copywriting is something we could go deeper and deeper and deeper on. I feel that after a certain point, you've learned pretty much everything you need to learn about copywriting, and you just have to implement it. Yes, it's nice to, and this comes from someone who is like perpetual learner and who's always reading more books and taking more classes. I do think that there's a tipping point when it comes to copywriting. You just have to go out and do it. You have to go out and practice it. You have to go try things and see things not work. And that can be really scary. But it also is, again, where magic happens. Magic is like when we are most activated, right? When there's like the most energy behind something. The energy of fear and excitement are not all that different. So my recommendation for you would be to just start trying it. And of course, my like biggest takeaway is that you should figure out who your ideal client is and get to know them and understand them and think about their problems on those 3 levels. And go even deeper. Question. Okay, yeah, I'll talk about that in just a second. Actually, yeah, I'll talk about that in a second, Al. But Oh, I think I saw someone raise their hand. I'm going to get to the questions in one moment, but I've mentioned PCCL a couple times in this class because we do go deeper into copywriting inside of the Profitable Content Creator Lab. So if it's something that I think I feel pretty confident that if you left here today and you wrote a sales page, it would be really good taking the framework that we talked about and taking the intention and the spell work and the sigil work that we talked about too. But if you want to go even deeper and you want to kind of understand this stuff from that perspective, we do talk about this inside of the Profitable Content Creator Lab, which goes live on April 19th. But we're actually giving everyone who joins these recession-proof skills classes early bird access. So you get a discounted rate and you get to join the club early, which is super fun. We've got 5 different modules inside of Profitable Content Creator Lab. So the module that we'll talk about, copywriting in particular, is module 5. And we go even deeper into some things like the customer understanding matrix and the customer awareness matrix. We talk about sales pages and writing emails. I also give you a ton of swipe copy, which is how I best learned copywriting, by copying other people and seeing how other people do it and seeing examples of how other people do it. So that's how I like to teach. And inside of PCCL, it starts on May 3rd, and we drop a new module every week. So we slowly build up over time, and you'll have a cohort of people that you're working with. We do weekly deep work and hypnosis sessions. We have an opening and closing ceremony, and then you have group calls with the Holisticism team and Q&As. And oh, Shamice, I still go back to PCCL. It was so valuable. Yes, and all of our PCCL alumni get the new version every year. So every time we put out a new version of PCCL, you get it after you've bought it. And you also get bonuses like 4 weeks of guided hypnosis, 5 human design modules that go deep on every human design with Ariana Mag. And you also get a sigil pin. So we talked about sigils in this class, but we created a sigil especially for the Profitable Content Creator Lab. So everyone gets one of those. Yeah, it's really cool. Very exciting. And right now the early bird price is $9.99. The price goes up on April 19th. So you get early bird access if you want, and you can find it at holisticism.com/PCCL. Maybe we'll drop the link into the chat. And now I just want to answer your questions. So any questions that I'm going to pop this into the chat so that check it out if you want to. Oh, thanks, Karen. Yes. Yeah. Catch it next year. Mia. Yeah. We release PCCL every year. So it's not going away anytime soon. You've got plenty of time to join us, but if now is the right time, awesome. Okay. What if you're a coach and service provider, but you want to make content to invite people into your vibe and biz? Is PCCL right for that? Yeah, it definitely is. PCCL, we teach about creating content in general on a regular content schedule, because that's something that overwhelms people. And then we also talk about how to not lose energy for making content, because a problem that I see a lot of people run into is they're basically like throwing out content all the time, right? It's exhausting them, depleting them, but they're not getting anything in energetic exchange in return. And so then let me know if anyone feels this way. You start to feel like bitter, angry, depleted, like people are taking advantage of you, like it's really unfair. And like, you don't want to make more content because it's like, you're not getting what you need in return. And so that's the whole framework of PCCL. How can you get what you need in return? And a lot of the time it just means asking. And so we can make profitable content that isn't just a course. Everyone thinks that courses are the only answer to making money from your content, but that's like, couldn't be farther from the truth. You can make membership communities, you can make Patreons, you can make OnlyFans accounts, you can make Content Plus, you can make communities. That's an incredible way to monetize your content, is creating a community or a paid community around it. You can make a paid email newsletter like we have in the cusp. It's $5 a month. And oh my God, that community is popping. There's so many different ways and more creative and intuitive and inspired ways to make money off of the content that you're already making, and to also renegotiate your energy and the energetic exchange there to make it feel good for everyone involved. So that's my take. Like, I think that content is one of the great equalizers because we've democratized our ability to make content. It's not just people who have businesses that have billions or millions of dollars in the bank that can make amazing content that reaches millions of people. So let's use the tools that we have at our disposal and make them work for us. That's my take. Okay, I'm going to answer some questions now. I hope that answered your cue, Victoria. So feel free to just unmute yourself and I'll answer any questions that are coming up about copywriting or, okay, cool. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Mia. Copywriting or intuitive business or arm hair tips and tricks, whatever you want to talk about, I'm here for you. Wow, I've never ended a class on time before. I usually go over. Amanda, this feels like a dumb question, but whatever, here it goes. How does one get a job writing copy? How does one become skilled enough to get a job writing copy? The funny thing is you don't have to be that good to get a copywriting job. I'm just going to be honest with you. I've worked with some really not good copywriters. And one of the best, I think that like in general, when it comes to getting work, knowing your design is really important. So knowing your human design and knowing like what channels you are works best. Because that will tell you if you need to go out and write a bunch of cover letters and send cold email people. Great. That has never worked for me. I'm a 4/6 projector, which means that I have to be invited. And I also use my network to get me jobs. So something interesting that happened when I started Holisticism, I started writing this email newsletter, right, every week. And I was working full-time as an editorial director for a startup when I started it. And as the newsletter grew, I'd send it out every Wednesday morning. Every time I sent it, I would get someone from my sort of immediate network that would ping me and be like, hey, we're looking for a copywriter. Do you know anyone? And it was because I kept putting out this newsletter that was full of my copy, my like snarky copy. And they started to see that that was something that I could do. I actually got like 3 or 4 jobs writing internal newsletters for companies because that like never saw the light of day, that were so easy. I actually like kind of felt bad taking those jobs because they were paying me like a pretty decent amount of money to like write happy birthday and then like copy and paste 25 people's names into a company newsletter. It was like really weird, but kind of cool. So I say that just to say that your unique path and style and makeup and design, I think is the best way to get a job in copywriting. But I also think that the best way to get a job in copywriting is to fucking write shit, you know, and to put it out in the world and let people know like what your voice sounds like. Okay. Is this for people who already have a blog with tons of free content that want to monetize it? Yeah, I would want to monetize that content, Christine, for sure. I mean, yes, it is. And I think that there's lots of ways that you could monetize a lot of free blog content and make that blog content actually work for you. So one question I would ask you is that blog content continuing to get more users or more audience members to your site? And are you converting those eyes to actual community members? Because like, it doesn't matter if we just have our like traffic coming into our website in the early, not even in the early aughts, in the like 2010s when blogging was big. Remember when like every Mormon mom had a blog? And they were like making buku cash off of affiliate links on like Amazon and reward style and shit like that. That was great because as long as they had people coming in, like an audience, right? More people coming on their page and clicking through, then they were going to make more money because people would click on that link and buy a thing. But that same model doesn't exactly work anymore. Yes, affiliate links work. Yes, sponsorship works, but you don't need to have a huge audience in order to make like buku cash off of your content. What we need to do though is be more strategic about what we do with our audience. So we want to take our audience and convert them into a community. And once we convert them into community, then we have this massive opportunity to like dive even deeper into paid content options. So my first question would be, if you already have a blog, amazing. I would do an audit for yourself and see what your traffic looks like. Are people still coming to those blog posts? And then I would pick your top 10 blog posts, the ones that people are looking at, and I would SEO the shit out of them. So I would search engine optimize them. I'd make them even more robust, and I'd add lead magnets into all of them. And I would start to build up my email list and build up my community. And then from there, you have a pretty good idea of who you're talking to and who could potentially buy your product. So I hope that answers your question, Christina. I just gave you advice that you did not ask for, but that's what I would do, and that's how I'd use PCCL. Okay, Jose, how do you write copy for a target audience that is way different from you? Well, you use your imagination. Like I can, and empathy and intuition, like that's what we're all really good at, right? We can empathize with someone who is not us. We can put ourselves in the shoes of someone who's not us. And that's actually why going deeper, those 3 levels deeper, is really important, because your top level worry or concern, I might be like, I don't know what it's like to have bald hair. No, I don't know what that's like. It seems uncomfortable, but I don't really know. That's my big problem. But what's the problem underneath that? Maybe it's like, I'm really uncomfortable in my own body. Wow. Okay. Suddenly I really understand that. I get that. And what's the existential problem under that? Well, what if I'm like unlovable or unlikable? Again, I really understand that as a human being. So if you don't necessarily immediately relate to who it is that your target audience is, that's okay. You don't like have to. You don't have to. You can write about football and not like football. I have. You can write about crystals and not be into them. You can write about magic and like not believe in it. But you have to relate to the human who's on the other side. And that's really what we're doing when we're copywriting. We're talking less about a product or service. We're centering the person and what they need and the transformation that our product or service provides them. So I hope that answers your question. Oh, thanks, Brownie. It's good to see you. Ariel. Hi, Ariel. Any advice for the most effective content to grow top of funnel for a community model? Yes. I think it depends on what you want your community to be and what you're sort of serving. I will tell you that the fastest way that I have seen to grow an audience with no budget, to grow a community with no budget, with no money, are quizzes. One of the best ways, because that's an awesome lead magnet. Who doesn't love a fucking BuzzFeed quiz? I'm like, which kitten am I? I don't know. I must take this quiz immediately. And events. I would say free events can be a really valuable thing to do, especially when you combine audiences with people. So often what we do is we're like, I'm going to host a free event. I put it on my Instagram. Only 20 people come. That kind of sucks. Hurts my feelings. That totally would hurt my feelings too. But if you don't already have a large existing community or audience where people feel excited to share your event with their friends, team up with someone who's in a shoulder industry, who's adjacent to you, who isn't necessarily like a direct competitor, although I don't really believe in direct competitors, but someone who's a vibe, who can really like mirror back where you're maybe like not so proficient and provide a lot of value in a different way than you provide value, and co-teach a class together, or teach a class to their community and have them teach a class to your community or audience, because that way you're you're using the power of 2. For some reason I just thought of Charmed, the power of 3. You're using the power of 2 to come together, and you're growing your audiences together. Because I guarantee you in these 2 audiences, there's going to be an overlap, this Venn diagram of people in the middle who like what both of you are doing. And I would say the best way to grow an audience is not to grow it, but to borrow it from other people. So if you can borrow other people's communities and audiences, get in front of them, provide value to them, connect with them, then that's going to slingshot your growth. So that would be my recommendation. If I had no budget, if I had to do it over again, that's where I would start. How often do you think one should post on Instagram to build a community and following? Rita, I'm not an Instagram expert. In fact, I'm a self-professed Instagram disliker. I'm actively hiring someone to take over our Instagram right now, but so I really can't tell you the answer. Although I will say, I don't think community can grow on Instagram. I think an audience can grow on Instagram. I taught a class a couple weeks ago on the difference between an audience and a community. An audience is people that you talk to. A community is people that talk with you. And a lot of the time our audiences live on Instagram. And if we disappeared, if we stopped posting, if we stopped showing up, they would also stop showing up. And a community can exist without you. And I think that's generally where we want to go, the direction we want to move in for many of us who want to have anti-capitalist, equitable, inclusive businesses. So I don't really know the answer to that, but I would really encourage you, if you like the community model, to think about where you could build community. Maybe it's on a place like Mighty Networks, or it's a Slack channel, or it's a Facebook group, or it's a subreddit, or it's somewhere else. There are so many amazing places, a Discord channel, a Clubhouse club. There are so many amazing places to build community now, but I would double click on that and think about that a little bit more for yourself. Layla, I'm wondering about the one ideal client. I've always been hung up on this point as I draw a very eclectic crowd. Oh, good question. Yeah, I get that. I never wanted to like exclude people in my business, but if you're talking to everyone, then you're talking to no one. I feel like people say that a lot, but it's really true. If you're trying to like be so neutral and unoffensive that lots of people love you, you're generally neutral and unoffensive, and lots of people will forget about you. I'm not saying you need to like go flip the double bird to everyone, but I am saying that I do think that you should get really clear on who your ideal client is, because just because you're really clear on your ideal client doesn't mean that you're not going to attract people who aren't your ideal client. I attract tons of people who are not my ideal client, who are not Stephanie. In fact, like there's only one Stephanie. So I attract a lot of people who are similar to her, or, somewhat adjacent to her. And that's fine. That's beautiful. That's how it should be. All right. What flavor of kombucha best represents my soul? I think that that's a good ideal client question. Okay. Okay. Bye. Yes. Bye, everyone going to Food Energetics. Okay. Beautiful. All right, my loves. Are there any more questions that I can answer? We have another class called Food Energetics that's happening in the Holisticism Hub. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, Layla. Yay, thanks for coming. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it, Rita. All right, my angels. Well, I think that's all I have for you. I'm so happy to see you every week, and thanks for sitting in for class. These are just so fun for me. I could talk about copy forever. If you want to join PCCL, I'm going to put the link right one more time here. Doors officially open on April 19th. And yeah, I think that's it. If you have any questions, ping me. Okay, bye y'all. Love you.